Mark Epstein here, and today I am speaking to you from the Sacramento Municipal Utility District, their Energy and Technology Education Center, in their Solar in the Classroom section. Today is going to be lesson 4. This is basically data and symbols, and this is, for your students will probably find this one of the more difficult lessons to deal with. This is the lesson where we start working toward the skills for students to create their own web maps. So the students will be learning how to deal with and bring in data layers, dealing with changing of base maps, and as far as dealing with changes of symbols. Now this is also the lesson as far as some of the functions where it's most likely to be impacted by changes in the ArcGIS Online interface. In my experience of dealing with ArcGIS Online, when there are changes, this seems to be an area that the web developers like changing of how do you do these functions. I would also recommend, because it is a long lesson, an awful lot of material, that your students do watch the video a couple times before working on the exercise. And depending on how you're formatting this course, this may be more difficult for those that are actually showing the videos in class. So, you know, if you are doing that type of format, this is a good one to push your students to say, watch it a couple times at home before we show it in class and start doing it on the exercise. As far as on the exercise, it's a structured exercise. It was in a beta version a number of years ago. I have attempted to keep up with the changes, in particular as the interface changes of deleting the figures and putting in the new ones that correspond to what the kids see on the screen. So every once in a while I do miss something as I edit and update the exercise. A couple things on this, because of the way in Edmodo that I do the link to the exercise map, the kids in the exercise will skip right directly to task 3 because I do that. Task 1 and 2 is already done for them. You'll also find in the exercises, because as I looked this over, I decided to delete out questions that I really didn't find pertinent to what we were doing in this mini course. But in that edit in Microsoft Word, it has not allowed me to change the question numbers. So there are a couple spots where it jumps and misses a number on the question. Again, for your kids, don't get freaked out on that. The other thing is that as you work on this, that the computers, when you're doing with the layers of modifying for the classifications of the data on the symbology, that the different computers will default to different computer schemes. Again, that's a variation. The main thing that we're looking for is the students see that typically in those type of maps that it's a shade of the same color, that as the data values increase, is the color gets darker. And then one of the things I have done is I have added an additional question which parallels to what the kids were doing in their exercise for the previous one with the map gallery. But rather than exploring the map gallery, what we're doing is we're having the students look over of what different data layers are available in the ArcGIS Online library. So they are looking, as with the gallery, picking 3 topics of their choice and looking for data layers. Obviously, if you want to key in on something of having them find as far as particular data layer for something, that you would want to do. Another thing on the final exercise that I would strongly recommend, that instead of the kids looking for those data layers within the map for that structured exercises, they go to a new map, and that makes it easier. Another thing that you will find within the structured exercise is when you bring in different layers on the projection, that the projection many times will not exactly match. And to properly overlay one of the things the simple thing to do is you just do a quick zoom in and out, and then the interface will reproject the layers to be in the same projection on the fly. This exercise will probably as far as with your students, determine which to separate those that will be excelling and those that will be struggling as we go through the course, as we're doing more of the technical stuff. So if you have any questions, you know where to find me. And I think once your students get into this, they'll in getting the skills, they'll be ready to go on to the next couple steps in being able to make their own web maps. And then as we get to the final lesson of the course of moving in the skills to develop story maps. So see you next time.